Hey, what's up? It's your girl Olivia, and you're checking out YouKnowIGotSoul.com. Hey.
Hi, Olivia.
Yes, how are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm good.
Thank you for taking this time for the interview. We appreciate it.
My pleasure.
I first want to just talk to you about, I want to take it back to the beginning, actually, back when you were on J Records and you first got signed. I was wondering, how were you originally discovered and what led to your signing on the label?
I had actually probably did a talent show, just showcase, actually, at, I think it was a China Club back then. And, Timberland and everybody had came out, and I guess word of mouth had got back to Arista, that's where Pride was at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I got a meeting with Keith Napoli, who was the vice president, and, we just sat down, talked about everything. He heard about the show, I did him some music, and then maybe 3 weeks later I was signed to J Records.
Cool. And, what do you remember most about recording that debut album?
A lot of fun. I just remember, I was 18 years old, so I was just excited to, even be getting a deal and just, being able to do what I love. So I didn't know about any of the politics involved, so I was just a happy child.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Following the whole J Record situation, you moved to GUnit and everything, and what was most attractive about joining that group there?
At the time, 50 was the hottest, rapper out. It was one of the biggest groups. And, again, a lot of politics came into play because I was already signed to Interscope before I did, the deal with G-Unit.
Mm-hmm.
And he just figured that it would be a great look. They wanted to broaden the group a little more. And I just figured that it would be something lucrative for my career at the time, and that's why I did it.
Yeah, okay. I want to take it, up to today now. Like, you have the current single out December. Give me some background on how that song came together.
Well, like we said on J Records, I always wanted to be a voice for the women. I first came out with that song, Deja, so that all the ladies could tell us that. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of what December was. I want to be a voice for the ladies who are not able to say what they need to say to some men. And I know a lot of women have been in this situation, and that was definitely the reason behind December.
Yeah, cool. And, what's the reception been like on that song so far?
It's been amazing. The amount of people that hit me on Twitter or any of my other outlets on my website has just been wonderful, and how much either they relate to it or they just think that it's just a beautiful song. Even the guys, so it's just been wonderful. It's more than I expected.
Okay, that's great. Tell me about the album that you're currently working on.
Yes, the album is actually finished. It's called Show the World. Some of the producers on there are Missy Elliott, Brian Leslie, Brian Michael Cox, Sean Kingston, Mario Lyman, Tony Dopad. It's a lot of people on the list, a lot of great producers, some that you know and some that you don't. And I just put my heart and soul into it. Like, I didn't use anything that was on, the G-Unit Behind the Closed Doors album. We scrapped it and did everything over. And it's just it's real R&B, just like how you hear in December. Like, the album is true R&B.
Cool. And, when can we expect that album to come out?
In September.
Okay, great. And, I reached out to your biggest fan on Twitter, and she wanted to know how many tracks can we expect on the album?
Probably 15 and a bonus cut.
Okay. That's a good amount. What is your current label situation?
I can't tell you that because obviously we do that on the show. For people who don't know, we do have a season 2. So make sure you watch the reunion show tonight. But all that other music stuff I'm going to answer on the show, so I can't really say. Okay, no problem. Let's talk a little bit about the show now. How did you originally get the opportunity to be a part of Love and Hip Hop? Melissa Scott Young, the executive producer, has been a good friend of mine for a few years now. She was with me at Violator as part of my management team. So I've known her well, and also because she's Missy's manager, and Missy and I are really good friends. So we've just always been in contact. And, she was like, we're going to do this show. It was originally called Jim and the Family Jones, about, his family, and then Jim with Chrissy, his girlfriend, his mom, and everything. And then they wanted to revamp the show to something new, because I think they've been trying for a few years to, figure out what they wanted to do. And Jim didn't want to be in front of the camera at all, like by himself. So he was really pushing forward to have more to do with Chrissy. And that's when, Mona was like, we should do it about, 4 women. We'll figure out who the women are, but really love how you and Chrissy are right now, because our first meeting, like, we totally bonded. This is the very first time I met Chrissy. I've known Jim for years, but I never got a chance to meet her, so we just clicked. And then they were like, okay, we just want to do a show about women and about their careers and about finding love, and that's how Love and Hip Hop came into play.
Okay, cool. Now that the first season's over, how happy are you with, how you were portrayed on the show, and how do you think it's affected your image, positive? Talk about that.
For the most part, it's been very positive for me. Of course, edits can do, certain things, but you got to have some BS along with good stuff, because everybody doesn't want to watch all good stuff, and I know that. So I'm not even mad at any of the stuff on the show.
Okay. And, I was going to ask, would you accept to do another season? But I think you already mentioned you definitely are doing another season?
Yes, I'm going to do another season.
Did you have any reservations about doing it, or you were just, excited to do it?
Not at all. I mean, like I said, I'm probably the one who came out the best on the show, so I would do another season.
Yeah, okay. Back to your music real quick, since you've only had one album, since you've been out as an artist, what would you say has been the biggest struggle in trying to release your music? Politics always plays a lot in this industry. People don't know what has to go on behind closed doors, and, the things that you have to do in order to get things right. For me, I needed to change my management. I knew that, but I'm a very little person, so it took me a while to figure out who I wanted to use and how I wanted to do it. And then one day I just got up and was like, you know what, I'm just going to go ahead and get a new manager. And it's just a lot of, even with the music, because I want to do certain types of music. I don't just want to do, R&B music. I love pop. I love rock and roll. So I have to be able to segue into those things as well. Yeah.
And you have to start off somewhere. So it's, like I said, the politics is a lot. A lot of people will tell me, well, why don't I hear your music on the radio? Like, that's not how it works. You can't just go to a PD or to a DJ and have them play a record. Like, it's a lot of things involved. So politics really plays a lot.
Yeah, exactly. And, you released your debut album about 10 years ago, and now you're putting together this album, getting ready to release it. So, what was the biggest difference in terms of, putting each album out there?
Well, I had no clue with the first album. I just was doing music, and, J Records did everything else. And like I said, I was just happy to be out performing and doing what I love. Now, knowing the business, I know exactly what I want to do. I built the majority of the album. I know the direction I want to be in. I know my image. I know how I want to be marketed. So it's a total difference,
Yeah, okay. That's all the questions I have for you. Is there anything you'd like to add?
Just that everybody can follow me on Twitter at one and only Olivia, the number one. And my website is oliviaworldwide.com.
Great. Thank you so much, Olivia. Best of luck with the album, and I look forward to hearing it.
Thank you so much. You enjoy the rest of your day.
Thanks, you too. Bye.
Okay.